Hello and welcome back to Hevsel Weekly. In this week's episode, we will talk about the medical evacuation NASA conducted from the ISS, the deadly train crash in Thailand, more news about the war in Ukraine, the protests in Iran, and much more. So, without further ado, let's get started on this week's headlines. For the first time ever aboard the ISS, NASA carried out a full medical evacuation from orbit. Earlier last week, 4 astronauts from the Crew 11 mission began an early return to Earth after one of the crew members experienced a medical issue that couldn't be identified or treated aboard the station. The exact details of the astronaut's condition is yet to be fully disclosed. However, his situation is reported to be stable and the evacuation was dubbed a precaution. The crew returned aboard a SpaceX Dragon capsule, splashing down safely in the Pacific Ocean after an overnight journey. In a devastating accident, at last 32 people have been killed and more than 60 injured after a construction crane collapsed onto a moving passenger train in northern Thailand. The crash, which occurred in the Nakhon Ratchasima province, was caused as a crane which was reportedly part of an ongoing high-speed rail construction project fell directly onto the tracks just as the train was passing by. Several carriages derailed on impact, trapping passengers inside the twisted metal ruins. Rescue teams worked for hours to pull survivors from the wreckage, while hospitals in the region were overwhelmed with injured passengers. Thai authorities have launched a formal investigation into the incident due to questions regarding the construction safety standards and whether proper precautions were in place during work near active rail lines. Iran's nationwide protests movement has reportedly lost its momentum in many cities after months of intense demonstrations against the current regime. Many human rights organizations have attributed this slowdown to brutal crackdowns by the Iranian authorities. Regime forces have carried out mass arrests, used live ammunition in some cases, and severely restricted internet access all around the nation in an attempt to curb storm communication. Thousands are believed to have been killed or imprisoned since the protests began, and state media has increasingly portrayed demonstrators as enemies of the state and oftentimes as religious outcasts. Internationally, pressure on Iran continues to grow in the form of sanctions from all around the world. As of this month, Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine has officially lasted longer than the Soviet Union's fight against the Axis powers during the Second World War. The invasion, which began in February 2022, has now stretched beyond 1,418 days, surpassing the length of the Eastern Front of World War II. The long-anticipated Game of Thrones prequel series, A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms, has officially premiered. On the day of launch, it has already broken viewership records. It has been dubbed as one of the most successful launches in the franchise history. Unlike previous entires, the series focuses on a smaller, more personal story, following the adventures of a wandering known as Sir Duncan the Tall and his squire in Westeros, decades before the events of Game of Thrones. Thank you for turning into Hefsel Weekly. We'll be back next week at the same time with more updates from all around the world. Until then, stay informed and take care.